Hi, this is Adam Jones with Perry Thomas. We just finished bike TransAlp, a mountain bike race in the Alps, and now we're in Venice decompressing, getting ready to fly back, and we thought we'd tell you a little bit about the experience. So, Perry, why did you think this was a good idea for us to do this? How did you find out about it? What's the race all about? Tell us a little more.
This was my idea. I called Adam to see if he wanted to do an adventure in Europe. Been racing mountain bikes for quite a while, and just decided to do something a little more adventurous. So the timing of TransAlp was perfect. Midsummer worked out my schedule, worked out Adam's schedule, and that's what we chose to do. It's a 350-ish mile race that turns out to have about 60,000 feet of climbing, which, as a perspective, is climbing Everest twice from sea level with a bike in 1 week. So it's a hard endeavor, no matter what skill level you are.
Would you think it'd be fair to say that if you're going to do this race, commit all the way, go all in, take advantage of the services, and
Absolutely would. If you go to the TransAlp website, you'll see there's lots of different ways to do the race as far as the services, all the way from camping with no extra services all the way up to the pro style service, which is pretty much what it says. It's pro style. And you can get different options and pay for them. Our suggestion is to get as much as you can afford because it makes your experience much better.
yeah, I would definitely agree. Don't go halfway with it. Go all in. This is going to be an all-consuming endeavor of your time and energy, and the better planned it can be, the more help you can get, the better. So I was way down your list of folks you called to do this. What did you learn about choosing partners and what's important, and maybe riding styles, personality styles?
It's a long race, and to do something like this where really you're around your partner 24 hours a day almost for 7 days or more, including travel. So you need someone to get along with quite well, not just on the bike. Adam and I have different riding skill levels, but we get along otherwise, and it worked out fine. You need to have the right attitude going into the race, so that each rider knows what to expect and what the outcome will be. Two summer skill level riders may do well on the course, but it doesn't do it good to throw a bike parts after the race. So choose your partners wisely. It'll make your experience much better.
So if you haven't looked at TransAlp yet, you have to have a partner for this as a two-person team event, and you have to finish with your partner. So just having a friend go along and saying, oh yeah, I'll see you at the finish line, doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes much more sense to find somebody, if you can, who will ride in sort of a similar style. Two climbers that maybe ride together, or two descenders. We saw some other folks in our group where one was a fast climber and one was a fast descender, and they were leaving each other behind and trying to just regroup on the course, which means if you have a problem, you're stuck there fixing it by yourself while your partner flies down the road, only to wait up for you later on.
Right, we definitely saw people who would just ride their own race and just finish together. And I think that's probably not a good way to do it because, again, you can divide these up as far as nutrition and hydration, tools, etc. And it's always good if there's a problem on the course that you have your partner. We did have one mechanical, fortunately it was only one, where Adam popped the spoke. He went through the intake, and of course he lost his tubeless air. So we had to make a repair on the trail, and it helps to do that when your partner's there. So that's our advice, is to ride together, regardless of the other level. I would wait on Adam with the climbs, and they would regroup and ride on again. So that was worked well for us.
So I think that brings me maybe to the next point, which is before you go the TransAlp, make sure that your bike is in perfect condition. Replace any bearings that might be questionable. Take spare spokes, spare brake pads. We had some folks in our group that had brake pads that needed to be replaced, and the mechanics don't necessarily have the pads for your brakes. So bring a spare set, or two spare sets, or three. Some spare spokes. Put brand new tires on. You'll still torch the rear one over the course of this long of a race with this much climbing in it. Anything that can break or might break, bring spares with you. Bring spare chain links, carry those on the ride, carry a nice multi-tool, carry a chain tool. There's a long event. We got lucky this year with the weather, but man, a little bit of rain and mud and it could have been ugly in a hurry.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as equipment goes, I'd echo what Adam said, that I put a brand new racing Ralph on the rear of my Scalpel, and it's done. And it was because of the roughness of the course. There's a lot of loose limestone, a lot of climbing, a good bit of road, some climbing, which also is part of the tires. So yeah, started with good equipment. As I was packing my bike up, I inadvertently found that it had a rear jockey pulley that was cracked, and also I had front wheel bands that were not doing too well. So look over everything and don't let anything.
So you said on your Scalpel, do you think a full suspension's necessary? Maybe describe the course conditions a little bit and what we saw in terms of bikes.
Necessary for dual suspension? No, it's as is the case with a lot of in long endurance races. There's a lot of graded surfaces, such as asphalt, obviously, a lot of gravel roads, far surface roads, if that's what you want to call it. I thought there was enough single track in it. I was glad I had dual suspension, but also was glad I had dual lockout. If you're a hardtail rider, you won't want to ride the dual suspension. If you're a hardtail, you'll be fine. If you do ride both, personally, I like the comfort of the dual suspension over that length of time, and I enjoy that. But again, with as much pavement as there is, I think the lockout was very helpful for front and rear.
Yeah, I think the dual suspension maybe was helpful on some of the rockier road climbs because it allowed you to sit down and continue to just pedal through.
I agree. I've always felt that.
What kind of gearing were you running?
I run on that bike. I run a 2x10, which is smallest wheel at 24, 24, 36. And that was satisfactory. I didn't really need anything more than that. There were a few climbs that it just was not rideable, and you had to have to ride, not necessarily just because of the people, but because of the steepness of the grade. But everything else that was reasonably rideable, that gear was fine, so I was okay with that.
I'm a little heavier than Perry. My 24-36 left me wanting maybe one more or so going up some of the hills. We saw a lot of folks with a 1x, and I'm not sure what size the rear was, but it was a pie plate.
And
it was some sort of 1x50 in the rear, it looked like, and they were spinning up the hills pretty well, but it doesn't leave them a lot for flying downhill on some of the road descents or the flatter sections where you can really get cooking along. So I think the 2x was probably beneficial in the end.
I've always felt that on almost any graded surface course, which is opposite from a cross-country course, that the close ratio of the 2x system worked better, and I think that proved to be true in this course.
What did you bring in terms of clothing?
Clothing is a good question. I think this year our race was perfect for weather. When we actually arrived in Meerhofen at the start, it was what I feared it to be, which is 50 degrees of rain. And that makes for long days. But the day we started the race, it was perfect. We typically start at 50 degrees in the morning, 50-ish. I think one morning maybe was 49. By the end of the day, it was in the mid-70s on the Alpine stage. As you get closer to the Lake Garda, it gets warmer, and we got hit in mid-90s a couple of days during the middle of the stage. So typically I had a base layer on, short sleeve jersey, arm warmers, and shorts, and I would just shed the arm warmers at the first aid station, and that worked well. Again, we had no rain, that was perfect, really good weather, but I would plan on rain. You get a good rain jacket, because after being thunder shower is kind of a rule of thumb this time of year in this location. So always plan on rain and cooler but not cold.
How many kits did you bring?
I brought 3. You could get away with 2, but I think 3 is a good number. 4 is a spare. I did bring 4 actually, but I didn't use one of them. It was an older kit, and I never had any of them. I only brought 1 set of arm warmers, and I regret that. I would like to have 2 sets, just because it's so because you use the homeowners every day part of the stage, and then you always have to wash those and get them back the next day. 4 pair of socks and 3 sets of gloves and stuff like that.
We were also fortunate we chose to go with Pro Style option. I don't know what they'll call it in the future, but it's the group that has soigneurs and a mechanic with the group, which is really nice. They'll do laundry for us. But when you hand them your kit, you don't get it back that evening necessarily. It's often the next morning, and being that it's Europe, that means you get it back the next morning wet, or the next evening wet, so it has to be hung out so it can finish drying, which takes some time. So I think 3 kits was about right. I had a 4th, didn't really need it, but you could get by with 3, 4 would be nice. Don't come with just 2, that's probably not enough. Did you like Pro Style?
I would say our experience was fantastic the whole week, and largely due to Pro Style. Pro Style is the, I guess you would say, high-end outfitter supplier for the tour. We had about 25 or 6 in our group. You can see the cost of that on the website. I'd say it's worth it and then some. We could ride up through the stage finish every day and have our own tent there with food, recovery drinks, and the people there to help you out. We get to the hotel, we can talk to the mechanic, tell them what the issues were. Overnight, we fix it, wash your bike. Next day, it comes back just ready to rip. It looks like a new one. And they also offered massage, took care of all the accommodations. It was truly like riding like a pro vacation, and it was absolutely made the whole experience worthwhile. My suggestion is sell a bike, sell a car, sell a kid, do something, go Pro Style.
Yeah, when we popped the spoke that first day, it was great at the end to roll in, hand them the bike. They said, how did it do? We said, not so well, broke a spoke. They said, okay, what pressure do you want for tomorrow? We'll figure out a way to get you rolling again. Came out the next day, they had found a loaner wheel to get us rolling and back on the road. So we were able to just hand the bike over instead of spending our time in the evening trying to hunt down a spoke or a wheel and deal with it. It's so nice to be able to hand it over and just head to the hotel room for a shower. It's first class all the way. Definitely worth doing. If you're coming from the States and spending the money to fly over here and spending money on the race, spend the marginal amount more and do it right.
Adam's wheel troubles didn't stop at the spoke. He had a hub go bad, and it was kind of like riding gravel in your hub. We ended up getting a new set of wheels from the Shimano truck at a reasonable price, and they fixed the whole thing out, mounted the tires, mounted the cog, and new wheels.
The Pro Style folks did all that, not the Shimano folks.
Correct. We got the wheels from Shimano, but the Pro Style mechanics took care of all of that. So.
Our mechanic said, you want a new set of wheels? We said, yep. He said, okay, I'll have it for you in the morning. Walked down the next morning, said, I've been working on your bike. It looks perfect. And it was great. Problem-free after that. So during the ride itself, what do you think in terms of pacing, effort? How do you manage a 7-day stage race?
Comment number 1 is enjoy yourself, because I think this is just one of the best ways to see Europe on a bike, or especially motor vehicle. There were often times in the course where I felt like, originally I thought I was kind of riding to a postcard, but later on I kind of thought it was almost like riding to a fake. Just spectacular mountain views, narrow scenery, paved roads like you see in Zero. It was fantastic. So enjoy yourself and make sure you look at the scenery. I took a GoPro, hopefully I got something off that. It's going to be worthwhile. As far as a way to approach the race, our take is go slow at the start. When I say start, I mean the first 2 stages. Watch your heart rate, watch your power meter, whatever you use, watch your effort, and let those people go up the road, because you'll catch them back later. You got to really take it easy. After day 2, you can probably let it rip a little bit, but we made that mistake. I have to tell you all about it.
Yeah.
His enthusiasm got the best of him, and we ended up walking a little bit last day because of cramps and so forth, and set us back, but he bounced back from it quite nicely.
I said early, Perry's considerably lighter than me, goes uphill considerably faster than me. I decided to chase him. the first day, which worked really well until I was laying on the side of the road, cramped up, and then spent the rest of the week digging out of the hole. So don't do that. Stay within yourself. Yes, it's a race, but it's a long race. Do not race it like it's a cross-country mountain bike race, or you'll be sorry. You're going to end up spending too much energy. I mean, our first day was,
The hardest.
what, 106 kilometers and 2,600 feet of climbing, or something like that. It was
10,000, that's 3,000 meters, 10,000 feet in day one.
Yeah, it was a lot of climbing right out of the box. A long day right out of the box. So just think about how that compares to your normal race. If you're used to flying through a cross-country race, fantastic. Now turn around and do it 2 more times, is what the
One day.
first day is. So don't overcook it, getting excited and trying to stay with the fast guys. You'll see world championship jerseys rolling up the road. Don't chase them.
No.
What else do you think? So after the race, in terms of once the day's stage is over, how'd the evenings go? What should folks spend their time focused on to make this a success?
Relaxing as much as possible. And again, part of that goes back to what options you decide to use in packages you purchase, and that's why we kind of recommend going with the most you can, because it allows you to relax and enjoy the experience and not have to worry about the little details. That's what I would say. Just relax and enjoy it.
How much sightseeing did you do in the towns?
Not much. We didn't do very much at all. There's not much time for that. Get back and get recovered and get all your stuff in order, try to get to bed, and that's about all you got time for. That's why we're doing this now. We're doing a little sightseeing and stuff like that.
It's amazing. You spend, even when the stages start early, most of them start at 9 o'clock, some at 8 o'clock. So if you start at 9 o'clock, do a 6-hour stage, 6.5-hour stage, then you got to get to the hotel. It's 4 o'clock before you're there. You have a little bit of food, shower. If you're lucky or decide to go with the pro style option, get your massage, dinner, and go to sleep. And that's all that gets done.
Oh, wait, you have to charge your gear,
Oh yeah.
and you got to look for the door.
Charge the Garmin, charge the GoPro, charge your phone,
Charge your computer.
bring an adapter. European plugs aren't the same. Make sure you have several USBs. But don't bring your family and think you're going to go wandering around town with them, because it's just not going to happen. And don't say, oh, we'll go for a token walk each night and find food. You don't want to be on your feet. All you want to do is get your feet up, take a nap. The days add up. By the end, we would walk the stairs down 1 level, but other than that, it was elevator up every time. You don't want to do any extra effort. Any parting words of advice?
Have fun. I truly think it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. Enjoyed myself thoroughly. Good partner, good course, good time. 7 days is enough. I mean, 8 or 9 days when it started to turn into a little bit of a chore, but as it was a really good experience, and we really enjoyed it.
I agree. Enjoy it. Check the comments section below. We'll try and post other thoughts as we have them. Take it on. See you in Europe.
That might be helpful.